Greetings, loves, greetings. I want y'all to go ahead and hit that like button. Make sure you share this video out. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already subscribed, and make sure your notifications are on, y'all. I'm trying to tell you.
Ooh, look at this. Oh boy. So, guys, this is the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore, Maryland, and it collapsed. It crosses the Patapsco River, and it's recently collapsed within the last few minutes after being struck by a large container ship. A mass casualty incident has been declared with over a dozen cars. Ooh, and many individuals said to be in the water. How did this happen? I mean, how did this happen? Do they come through with the ship to where it hits? Who was driving this? Okay, but what's even crazier is what people are saying about this. Look, let's go to the comments, okay? So this person says TikTok is being banned. Y'all remember that Singapore owned this ship. Singapore owns TikTok. So somebody said posts like these show that America needs more funding into mental health services. I mean, I hear you, but how does the ship just crash into the bridge? So this person says, I thought China owned TikTok. If you watch the Senate meeting with TikTok reps, he says he's from Singapore, but they didn't know it was a different country from China. Okay, so it doesn't really seem like people are agreeing with him. Somebody is saying we're being invaded and nobody is talking about this. Well, I had to click like on that because that is true. I don't know if that's why this happened, but he said, I always try and put my window down going over bridges because this is my worst fear. I hope everyone was okay. This is just so weird for me. I was just watching yesterday about how the bridge in Florida collapsed the same way yesterday. And I watched this and had a very unsettling feeling in my stomach. And now I wake up to this. Oh, man. Okay, so I didn't know about that. I believe this is a tactical move. Man, it's going to take a lot for them to repair that bridge. Did anyone pass away? Because somebody is saying RIP. Hopefully not. But you know, people always argue in the comments. Somebody said, why did the lights go off before the impact? We will never know the truth of what happened, but it doesn't look like an accident. Of course we find out the truth. Not liking everyone died in the ship. I don't know. They going at each other. This was planned. Let's see if somebody agrees. Genuinely curious what you think the goal would be. Okay, eat another. See, they arguing. Soon as somebody make a comment, then people come and argue. I don't understand why you can't dialogue. Okay. Here we go. With all that space, it's crazy. Possible attack on the low. The ship was from Singapore. Here we go again. Okay, now somebody's coming at them. That is no accident. All right, let's see if we get some dialogue here. Seeing conspiracies everywhere is basically the same childish mentality. Okay, see, nobody can actually dialogue on a point. So someone happened to be recording at the exact same time that this happened. They started recording after the crash. He probably didn't expect the bridge to collapse. You know, they do have cameras that watch just like the cameras on highways and traffic and whatnot. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. The full video shows the boat losing power multiple times before hitting the bridge. No way it was even gonna stop or turn after the. Okay, so the boat lost power, so I guess they couldn't steer it in the right direction. That makes sense. Now they're making references to P. Diddy. The ship lost power 3 times, y'all. 3 times. 333. 333. 333. You were about to lose your job. Yeah, but this is sad, Hopefully everyone is okay. I'm wondering though, if it lost power, how fast was it going to hit the bridge so hard that it collapsed? Wow, this is crazy. I know this ruined a lot of people's day. I mean, you gotta cross that bridge. I'm not familiar with this bridge, but it is a big bridge. So how did people who needed to get across get to where they needed to go after this? This is just, hopefully they have some kind of backup route, which I don't think so. Let's see.
This is the shocking moment the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapses after being hit by a huge container ship. As videos emerge online from live streams and passers-by, CNN has looked into exactly what happened. The ship in question is DALI, a 984-foot Singaporean container ship that was heading to Colombo, Sri Lanka, with 2 pilots on board, the ship's management company says. Using Marine Traffic, a public ship tracking platform, we identified DALI, the ship, as it set off at midnight 50 a.m. in the morning. It follows a straight path towards the bridge until 1:26 a.m. when it starts veering off course. Shortly after it crashes, rescue boats can be seen rushing to the scene. We match this route to what we see in the live stream. Shortly before it veers off course at 1:24 a.m., we see here the ship's lights going out before coming back on seconds later. At 1:25 a.m., we see large plumes of smoke coming from the ship. Then the lights go out again at 1:26 a.m. It indicates a power failure. The crew on board did notify authorities of a power issue, according to the governor of Maryland. Just before the bridge collapses, vehicles can be seen on the bridge. But as the Mayday call goes out, luckily the traffic stops before further tragedy hits. Still, as the search for survivors continues, Baltimore City Fire Department have since confirmed that their sonar have detected vehicles in the water.
Oh my goodness.
The ship had in fact crashed before.
Oh wow, because I mean, where they showed that truck at, all of that fell. Oh wow. So it's lost power before. It should have been pulled off. This is just terrible.
The port of Antwerp in Belgium tells CNN back in 2016, when it was manoeuvring out of a port, it crashed. The report said it suffered damages in the stern and transom. Now, with official investigations beginning, the question will be whether mechanical or human error caused this terrible tragedy.
Okay, so I'm going to say human error because they know that they had a previous problem with power failure. And they obviously didn't remedy that. And I know people get paid good money, to take care of that. That is their job. This is insane. And so, also, why not have an alternate way of steering? You mean to tell me if the power goes out, you cannot control the direction in which the boat goes? I mean, I'm sure they could find a way to stop by hitting, land or some kind of structure that they feel like is the safest, but you gotta be able to steer. How is it that power is out and you can't steer? So it says 2 of the 6 construction workers who were missing after Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge collapse are from Guatemala. And the country's Foreign Affairs Ministry said late Tuesday the U.S. Coast Guard has ended the rescue operation for the 6 workers who were on the bridge when it collapsed. Okay, I know it was more than that fell because they said cars were in the water. We do not believe that we're going to find any of these individuals still alive. Wow. Ahead of the collision, the ship's crew notified officials with a mayday call that allowed authorities to stop traffic before impact and likely save lives. Likely. I wonder how far in advance were they able to give a warning before the ship got closer to the bridge? Because if they had lost power 3 times, that was a clear indication that, clearly they couldn't control how they steered. And this is why they would have cameras on the, bridge so that they could see if something happens, if a vehicle catches on fire, if it collapses or anything. So it says the collapse that has indefinitely halted the flow of ships in and out of Baltimore could hurt the local economy. I can imagine. Strained supply chains and scrambled deliveries along the U.S. coast. This is just... So they ended the search operation. Oh my goodness. Look at this, y'all. This is terrible. 6 people who were believed to be part of the road construction crew are presumed deceased after Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge collapsed on Tuesday morning. And it was a 984-foot cargo ship that hit the bridge's pillar. So the Maryland governor, Wes Moore, told his reporters Tuesday evening it's a really heartbreaking conclusion to a challenging day. So let's see. It was discovered that 2 of the construction workers who went missing after the bridge collapsed were from Guatemala. The country's Ministry of Foreign Affairs said late Tuesday. Okay, so there were 8 people on the bridge. That's not a large number. It's 8 too many though. But when it fell, there were 8 people on the bridge. At least 2 people were rescued, and 1 was taken to the hospital and has been discharged. 2 out of 8. Ugh. So there's the video, and it shows that the lights flickered on the ship, and it veered off course before it hit the bridge. Again, why can you not steer without power? Why is that not? There should be some emergency steering mechanism in place. This is ridiculous. Okay, allowed authorities to stop incoming traffic. Or maybe the truck that they showed was not traveling at the time of the crash. They made it look like it, didn't they? So earlier, dive teams from various state and local agencies were brought in to assist in a search and rescue operation. The mission started with 50 personnel and grew before the Coast Guard announced Tuesday evening that it was suspending it. How deep is it? Suspending the active search and rescue operation and transitioning to a different phase. Wow. So authorities are still working to establish exactly how this occurred. The National Transportation Safety Board will look into how the bridge was built and investigate the structure itself. Okay, you can't hurt doing that, but the bridge did not crash into the boat. But are they saying the bridge should have been able to handle the crash? It would make sense if it could, but I don't know if that's like a reality. So they said it would take time to dig through whether the bridge had ever been flagged for any safety deficiencies. Okay, are they going to say anything about the ship? Are you going to investigate the ship? How about why can we not steer if we lose power? Do we think we want to fix that? Senator Chris Van Hollen said the path to rebuilding the bridge will be long and expensive. But of course. So Senator White House advisor Tom Perez said it is too early to tell how long it would take to rebuild the bridge. And Joe Biden, he said, he wants the federal government to bear the full costs of rebuilding the collapsed bridge, noting that it will not wait for the company who owns the container ship DALI to shoulder the costs. Well, and that's nice of him. I mean, it seems like they have money to do whatever they want to do with it since they're, doing what they want to do with it. Funding should come from the Federal Highway Administration as well as the bipartisan infrastructure law, but it may require additional funding from Congress. Wow, that does sound expensive. So again, 2 of the construction workers were from Guatemala. The country's Ministry of Foreign Affairs said those missing included a 26-year-old, originally from San Luis Potosí, and the other is 35 years old, and he's from Camatan, Chimula. So both of them were part of a work team repairing the asphalt on the bridge at the time. And the statement did not name the 2 people that are still missing, but, their family, blah, blah, blah. It said the country's consul general in Maryland went to the area where the families of those affected are located, where he hopes to be able to meet with the brothers of both missing people. And the consulate also issued a statement Tuesday saying its consul general in Maryland remains in. So they said 4, and they only got 2 out of 8, was it? Okay. So, okay, the consul general remains in contact with local authorities and also confirmed that 2 of those missing. Okay, how many times you want to say that? So 6 people were believed to be part of the road construction crew, and they are presumed no longer with us after Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge collapsed Tuesday. A répété. And they have not released information about the identities of any of the workers. Okay, so I'm reading earlier posts. That's what's happening. Okay, cool. So that is the update. It does say the water depths in the area under the bridge vary from 40 feet. Wow, that's no swimming pool. To more than 60 feet. And the deeper the divers go, the colder the temperatures they encounter, and the visibility is 0. So that would explain why they would cut off the search. And Wallace said when crews arrived Tuesday morning, the surface of the water temperatures of the Patapsco, I don't know how to say that. It's Google. I'm not on Edge, but let's see if Google will do it. Will it? Nope, it's not going to read it out loud. That's an Edge feature. Well, this river, it was about 47 degrees with an air temperature of 44 to 45 degrees. That is not good for anybody. Okay. Wow. Okay, so this bridge is also referred to as the Key Bridge, and it opened its traffic in March of 1977, and it's the final link to the Baltimore Beltway. And this is according to Maryland Transportation Authority. It crosses over the 50-foot deep Patapsco River, where former U.S. Attorney Francis Scott Key found inspiration to write the lyrics to the Star Spangled Banner. Oh, look at me learning something new today. I know that sounded from Francis Scott Key. That sounded familiar. So the bridge was 1.6 miles long. More than 30,000 people commuted daily. That's a lot of people. And originally, it costed more than $60.3 million to build. And that was in 1977. That's about 46 years ago, 45 years ago. So, Joe Biden, your president, says that he is committed to helping rebuild the bridge as soon as possible. Well, thank you, Joe. We appreciate your service. Baltimore ranks as the 9th busiest U.S. port for international cargo, and it handled a record of 52.3 million tons, valued at $80.8 billion in 2023. And that is at a halt right now. That's huge. That's huge. So when people say we're under attack, I mean, you can see why they would say that. This affects a lot. So according to the Maryland state government, the port supports 15,330 direct jobs. And here's a new update. And 139,180 jobs in related services. The bridge collapsed. Okay, we know. The vessel was called DALI, and it collided with one of the supports. And DALI is operated by Singapore-based Synergy Group, but it had been chartered to carry cargo by Danish shipping giant Maersk, I guess. And the ship is about 984 feet long. Wow. And that is according to marine traffic data. That is almost the length of 3 football fields. Okay. Man. So for a long-time Baltimore resident, Celie, who opted not to share her last name, seeing the footage of the bridge collapse was personal. She says, I was very heavy-hearted, very tearful, thinking about the families whose loved ones may be in the water. I mean, the shock upon impact by it being so cold. And she said she was remembering when the bridge was constructed, and it was like a piece of family dissolved. It was really surreal because I knew what I was looking at, but I just didn't want to believe it. So she was at a prayer group Tuesday morning when she saw the news, and she recalled being afraid when she first crossed the bridge while in Fort Maverick in 1975. Didn't they say it was built in 77? I mean, I remember 77 because I was born in 76, so it was a year after I was born. But okay. But grew to like it because it saved time on the road. It was a main artery, just like a bloodline. It was a main artery to the other side of town. It was awesome. It beat going through the city all the time, she said. Okay, so they still have a route. Good. So Elder Rashad A. Singletary, a senior pastor who led Tuesday night's vigil at Mount Olive Baptist. There's a Mount Olive Baptist church in every state, isn't it? Well, he said that many church members watched the bridge's construction. It's a part of the community. A lot of our individuals in our congregation drive that bridge to go to work. And so now it's really a life-changing moment. Well, man. So they ended the search and operation. They said we put every single asset possible, air, land, and sea, to find the missing people. While even though we're moving on now to a recovery mission, We're still fully committed to making sure that we're going to use every single asset now to bring a sense of closure to the families, the governor added. If they are losing visibility at a certain depth, with the temperature steady dropping, but it's the visibility that's an issue. So I'm not sure how, So this happened at 1:30 a.m. Okay, it said 8 people were on the bridge. 1 was taken to the hospital. Okay, the ship. Okay, DALI, all right, Singapore based, and it is a Danish shipping giant. I'm trying to figure out what they're going to say about investigating the ship. Okay. The National Transportation Safety Board is leading the investigation into the collapse. A team of 24 experts will dig into nautical operations, vessel operations, safety history records. I hope everybody's I's are dotted and T's are crossed, because I don't know if families can sue and all this and that. Yeah, they're going through history records, safety records, owners, operators, company. This means everybody. Wow. And any safety management systems or programs. Well, so a voyage data recorder will be critical to the investigation, she added. Okay, so what is that? Okay, so a crew member on the ship sent a message hours after the collapse saying everybody on board was safe, according to the Apostleship of the Sea director, Andy Middleton. And Middleton, who spent time with the captain of the DALI Monday, told CNN Lawrence Coates that he reached out to a crew member after hearing about the incident. He said there were about 22 members aboard the ship from India who were setting sail earlier Tuesday and were headed towards Sri Lanka. I was able to reach out to every crew member very early this morning around 5:30 a.m. and got a message to them asking if they were okay. And he said that they responded within just a few minutes, advising that the crew was safe and everybody on board was safe. And Middleton was told by the ship's captain on Monday that the vessel was going to take a longer route to avoid risks along the Yemen coast. When I was out with the captain yesterday, we were talking while we were driving, and he advised that they were sailing down and around the tip of South Africa in order to avoid the incidents that are going on off the Yemen coast, which I'm not familiar with, and it was a safer way to go. Well, the way wasn't the problem. The ship clearly was the problem. So Middleton said the Apostleship of the Sea is a ministry to seafarers with members that spend time in the port and on the vessels as a friendly face to the seafarers that visit the port of Baltimore, taking care of their needs to make sure that they're reminded of their God-given human dignity when they're here in Baltimore, whatever that means. Those are some nice dresses right there. Okay, all right, let's see if we got any more information, because I am interested in learning more about this. This is not an area that we tend to, take interest in unless we have any relation to it. So that's interesting. So they said we are at a standstill. We make our living off of import and export cargo, unloading and loading, discharging and loading ships. Scott Cohen, president of ILA Local 333. This is going to put a very big strain on the economy in the state of Maryland, because the Port of Baltimore is one of the main drivers of the economy of Maryland. And this is going to create a big problem. The ILA's work relies on the flow of cargo ships through the port, as its workers are responsible for securing loads on and off the deck, operating the cranes, and running the boxes through the yard. Until those ships can come up and down the bay, the little bit of cargo that is in a terminal will be imported and exported out. And then we be waiting for the channel to open. I don't know how long it's going to take going at it. Now, when I used to drive for the rail yards here in Georgia, I would go to the 4 rail yards and pick up the boxes that come in the ships containing cargo and take them from rail yard to rail yard. Occasionally, I would take them also to like the big DCs or what have you, but mainly I would take them from rail yard to rail yard, and that is generally whatever's on this ship and other ships that come in. And so when we have slow freight, it's usually because of something like this happening. So he said that these massive cargo shops are very difficult to stop, especially when you're facing issues with power outages and propulsion. It's not like a car. They don't have brakes. And when you talk about trucks being the same way, this one being about 3 football lengths long, football fields, that would be about the distance that it would take for a truck to stop at maybe 40, 45 miles per hour, depending on, what's on it. So just imagine, going faster. Yeah. So think about football lengths full. So it's the same, just about. It's very hard to control at high speeds. Or if you have any kind of problems or somebody pulls out in front of you. Okay, it said ocean carriers are being moved away from the port of Baltimore after the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapsed. The Port of Virginia and the Port of Baltimore are coordinating diverting the ships to the Port of Virginia to eliminate the traffic in Baltimore's port to keep the trade moving. Okay. The Virginia and Maryland Departments of Transportation are also working to ensure uniform signage along roads all the way up from Virginia to Maryland. We have our first ocean carrier that was supposed to be heading to Baltimore, making a stop in Virginia and unloading all of their Baltimore cargo here. And we've got capacity to do it. And I think that that's really important. We got high-level interaction everywhere needed, and we just wait to be called. As soon as we'll be moving. So it looks like, they're going to be able to somewhat keep things going. This is a patient who was taken to the R. Adams Cowley Shock Center following the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapse, has been discharged according to a release from the University of Maryland Center. And they are holding a virtual briefing at 2:30 p.m. with hospital officials to speak about how the hospital handled the incident, and patient details will not be discussed. Okay. So some of the East Coast's busiest ports are offering their support after the DALI cargo ship collided with Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge, a major artery road traffic to collapse. Our hearts are hurting. This is South Carolina. Our hearts are hurting for all those affected, and we are sending support and strength to our sister port city during this difficult time. South Carolina Department of Transportation Secretary Christy Hall, South Carolina Ports President and CEO Barbara Melvin, and Charleston Branch Pilots Association President Creighton Walters said in a joint statement. South Carolina is home to the Port of Charleston, another major seaport off the Atlantic Ocean. And the port said that it hopes to learn from the incident that unfolded in Baltimore, adding that they have already had initial conversations regarding the incident and we will jointly review harbor operations, procedures, and state infrastructure. And that makes sense. Okay, so Georgia is home to ports in Savannah and Brunswick, and the Georgia Ports Authority offered similar sentiments, noting the Georgia Port Authority offers our thoughts and prayers and support to our Port of Baltimore colleagues and everyone involved in this tragic accident. North Carolina, okay, the North Carolina Ports Authority said that they are monitoring the situation and are in close communication with our various partners, customers, and port users as the situation continues to develop. Our thoughts are with the Port of Baltimore and the community, those directly impacted, and the first responders still engaged in the important search and rescue work. Okay, so they scrambled. Yeah, I need one of you guys on the south side, one of you guys on the north side. Hold all traffic on the Key Bridge. There's a ship approaching that just lost their steering. So until we get that under control, we've got to stop traffic. In the audio, units reported that the bridge had collapsed about 90 seconds later. That was not a lot of time. But it was 1:27 a.m. So, that stuff got to come in early. And that was fortunately a good thing because, it's not going to be that much traffic. The whole bridge just fell down. Start, whoever, everybody. The whole bridge just collapsed. A person is heard on the radio. Do we know what traffic was stopped? Another person said. I can't get to the other side, sir. The bridge is down. Another person responded. There's some pictures of when it was originally constructed. Ooh, okay. I love the color scheme in this picture. Yes. John Zimmerman was an iron worker who helped build the Francis Scott Key Bridge in the 70s, and he was woken up by his wife early this morning to turn on the news. After the news broke of the accident, I was in shock. I did not think that the bridge would ever come down, Zimmerman told CNN. From looking at the footage, he says it appears that the concrete bumpers around the pilings meant to protect the structure didn't work because of the exact place and way that the ship hit. So he speculates that the ship seems to have perhaps avoided the bumpers or only sideswiped them. Okay. So he said, unfortunately, the ship seemed to have hit at the most vulnerable part of the bridge. So if that's true, there's a way that they could, improve upon that. Because isn't that the point of the bumpers? The bumpers should have, whatever. I don't know, because we don't know if that's what happened. He says it looks like it hit only the spot it could have hit to take the whole thing down. Wow. It hit at probably the weakest part of the bridge. It shouldn't have been exposed. If it's the weakest part, it shouldn't have been exposed. It should have had the bumpers. Zimmerman, who is now 83 years old, worked on the bridge for 2 years in the 70s as a local iron worker. There's another picture of rescue workers. Officials are conducting search and rescue. Okay, we're past that. Sorry about that. A full moon spring tide is bringing two main impacts: coastal flood advisories around the Chesapeake Bay and dangerous rip currents. We just had a full moon on the 25th. So, see how nature naturally affects nature. Another contributing factor is the way the water is moving. And water from the, Patapsco River? I wonder where that was named after. will flow out of Baltimore Harbor as low tide approaches Tuesday afternoon. Then during high tides, there will be a reversal with water coming back into the harbor. Now, Van Dam said that this could mean more difficult conditions for search and rescue boats. Additionally, the cold water temperatures could still be dangerous for people still in the water. Right now, the water in the river is about 40 to 50 degrees, and human survivability at that temperature is 1 to 3 hours. Family members of the workers who were on the bridge when it collapsed are still searching for answers nearly 12 hours later. The family members who declined to give their names were at Bronner Builders Construction Agency picking up vehicles belonging to their relatives. Oh my gosh. One woman said that her brother worked for the company and survived the bridge collapse, and she said that he was released from the hospital, but he was not doing well, and declining to add more detail while his wife sat silently in tears while CNN spoke with his sister. He could have got hit by structure. He could have actually fell in the water. That's just, wow. Another young woman, he was released so soon. Another young woman said 2 of her immediate family members are still missing. And she said one of her uncles, who worked at Bronner for a long time, loved his job there. It's unclear if he was amongst the missing. CNN reached out to Bronner Builders, but they declined to. It's too early for them to give a comment. And they say 6 people still remain unaccounted for. Okay, and Joe Biden is, of course, saying the federal government is going to pay, and he said that it is possible some of the funding could come from the bipartisan infrastructure law, one of Biden's key legislative accomplishments that passed in 2021. Oh, yeah, it's election year. All right, go ahead, Biden, do your thing. Okay, that's better than eating fried chicken at people's houses. I'm just saying. Okay. So it authorized $550 billion in new federal investments. As with any massive spending package with hundreds of funding streams, it's difficult to track exactly how much money remains. Sure. But the money is being dispersed over a 5-year period. So there will be funds available through 2026. And most of the money passes through the U.S. Department of Transportation and is awarded to states and projects on an annual basis through one of 2 ways. Some funds are sent to the states based on a formula, which is typically used to fund highway and bridge projects, and the state selects those projects. A lot of the formula programs have long been sending federal money to states annually, but are now delivering much more funding during the 5-year period covered by the infrastructure law. Overall, 47% of the formula funding made available by the infrastructure law has been awarded by November of 2023, according to the Brookings Institution. But even more funds are available and awarded through competitive grant programs for which communities can apply to receive money for projects. For example, the Bridge Investment Program funds major projects that cost up to $100 million. I'm going to build me a bridge. After a 447-foot-long 4-lane bridge collapsed in Pittsburgh in 2022, hours before Biden was scheduled to visit the city, money from the infrastructure law helped rebuild the bridge quickly without affecting funding for other critical projects in the region. And the bridge reopened within 1 year. That is great. That is great. So Biden says that he will visit Baltimore soon following the collapse of the bridge. And responding to a question about whether he planned to visit, he said, "I do, and as quickly as I can." Oh, he does. He do as he does plan to. Okay, cool. I thought he was having a moment there. The president did not provide specifics on when he plans to visit. I don't know if that's important. Um, he says that he wants the federal government to bear the full cost rebuilding this, because that's what he should do. But that could include funding from the Federal Highway Administration as well as funding from the bipartisan infrastructure law that provides competitive grants to improve the nation's bridges. But it could require additional funding from this is expensive. It is my intention that the federal government will pay for the entire cost. I expect Congress to support my effort, and this is gonna take some time. All right. He said we're not gonna wait for DALI to respond and pay and all that. Yeah, the economy can't wait for that. It doesn't have time for that. They can reimburse if that's a thing that they could implement, but yeah. So he continued, "I've directed my team to move heaven and earth. Heaven and earth to reopen the port and rebuild the bridge as soon as humanly possible," adding that the federal government will work hand in hand with the state of Maryland. So there's no indication that the collapse of the bridge in Baltimore was the result of an intentional act. So he's putting that to rest, guys. Okay, there's no indication of that. The president promised a large response from the federal government and said that he has spoken with Maryland Governor Westmore along with Maryland's 2 senators. And Biden noted that he has traveled over this bridge many, many times during his commutes and between Washington, D.C. and Delaware. Okay, that's to say what? That's nice. President Biden is addressing the Tuesday morning collapse from the White House, of course. And the remarks come ahead of the trip to North Carolina. And he is talking with Vice President Kamala Harris. And the White House earlier tweeted a picture of Biden being briefed on the collapse in the Oval Office with senior White House advisors. And the president will continue to receive updates on the search and rescue. Okay. As the response to the bridge collapse shifts from search and rescue to a recovery phase, there will be a sense of urgency to open up federal funding to remove debris and ultimately rebuild the bridge. Given the economic significance of the Port of Baltimore, which is currently indefinitely closed, and the fact that the bridge is a key traffic artery for commuting Marylanders, it's important that they get it up and going quickly. But I can see there being some kind of conflict there because people are going to want their loved ones to bury before you start building. And so, hopefully they find everybody quickly. The added pressure of the port and the economic costs make it even more urgent for folks in Maryland and in the White House to quickly act, says Andy Winkler, an expert in disaster and infrastructure issues at the Bipartisan Policy Center. With emergency operations underway, federal and state officials will be working around the clock to assess the damage and the cost to rebuild and rebuild quickly. The National Transportation Safety Board has already launched a GO team to investigate the collapse. And Winkler said it will be key to watch whether and how soon the president declares a federal emergency, which can help cut red tape involved with certain regulations and contracting rules. That doesn't sound good. What red tape are you wanting to cut? But I mean, I like how they're just immediately like, this is priority. We're taking responsibility. We're going to check our bridge. We're going to see on our part, how did this happen? So when they rebuild, they can come up with, a better way, instead of saying it was the ship and we're waiting for them and we got to investigate them and blah, blah, blah. Of course, this is a, major key point to actually America's economy. So that, plays a part in it. But either way, I think they're moving great on this. So Benefiel Mendez, 37, lives a block away from the southern entrance of the bridge near Fort Amistad Park, and he works in construction, and he says the bridge's collapse will affect his everyday life. It affects us a lot, he said. To get to work to the other side through other routes, we're talking about a 45-minute difference. Ooh, that's a lot. He said his family didn't hear anything that night, but when the bridge collapsed, he and his wife and their 4 children gathered near a gas station Tuesday to see what was going on. They learned about the incident on the news. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz offered the people of Maryland resources in the wake of the collapse, calling the incident heart-wrenching. And he says, as we pray for the people of Maryland, we're offering any resources they may need as they grapple with this tragedy. Look at America. Go ahead, y'all. The state faced a similar tragedy in 2007 when Interstate 35W bridge over the Mississippi River near downtown Minneapolis collapsed, and it was taking down more than 100 vehicles with it, and 13 people passed from that incident, with 145 people injured. Wow. At the time, the bridge was loaded with rush hour traffic, along with heavy construction equipment, which officials said contributed to the collapse. Ooh. Okay. So I guess it was being transported. A multi-million-dollar settlement was reached. Okay, so that answers that question. A few years later, between the victims of the collapse and the engineering firm responsible for the bridge's inspection. I just want to wish good luck to everybody who is a worker in any aspect in this situation, because everybody is going to be under a microscope, because they're somebody, they need to find all parties responsible. And I mean, your average worker is not going to have monies to pay for the family. So at the end of the day, unless it's pinpointed to a corporation and not any workers, then what? Then how are you going to allot money to the family? But being that the bridge may have, according to that one guy who helped build it, hit at a weak spot, it could be partial the bridge and partial the ship. So, I mean, because the ship, we already know, has to take some blame, because, I mean, you lost power, which caused you to hit it in the first place. But I guess from what I'm understanding is hitting it still should not have made it collapse. And I'm sure they noticed, which is probably one reason why they're saying, listen, we're gonna check everything, because why did it collapse? So rescue efforts are underway Tuesday after a container ship, blah blah blah. Okay, this is these pictures. Look at all those containers. Those are the containers that I would carry, and they are heavy. They are made of steel, and those are hundreds of containers on this ship. This ship is said to be about 3 football lengths long. All these containers. There's a crane at the rail yards. Well, first the ports, and then they're taken to, well, this is ship, so it's different, but it's the same. Because I'm thinking rail yards, but we still have these containers. They come on trains, they come on ships, and you have cranes to pick them up and drop them, hopefully on a chassis. Because if they're not on a chassis, then you gotta go find a crane worker to come and get your container either off of the train or the ship if it hasn't been taken off yet, and put it on a chassis for you so that you can lock it onto the chassis and then hook up to it and deliver it where it needs to go. And those doors, ooh, look at this ship. Wow, that's a lot of cargo, guys. That is a lot of cargo, guys. Each one of these little colored blocks here that look like Legos are pretty much a truck trailer, the steel trailers, and they hold a lot. They even have a boat, look at there, on top of it. Wow. Just wow. How did they get such a bright picture when it was 1 a.m? I don't know. Unless it just stopped right there after it crashed. Wow, look, the bridge smashed some of the containers. Ooh. I'm just thinking about any of this possibly hitting a person, Wow. Just wow, because this is definitely iron. And these containers are made of steel. Look at the boat is crushed. Wow. You can't even see the cargo, really. You just see the crushed containers. And these containers are made of steel. I know I said that already, but them suckers be heavy. So again, y'all, when y'all see trucks out here, I don't care whether they're containers or not, please give grace. Please be careful around us, because we hauling a lot, okay? And it's not easy to control it as you think. When y'all get to pulling out in front of us or trying to brake check and all that, I mean, we be out here saving lives, I'm telling you, because we can take out half the highway with, one mishap. You don't get to necessarily control the weight of not only the trailers, but the cargo when you're going at, highway speed. Even at a slow speed, you just don't. And these containers, they don't be at legal weight. I'm gonna tell you that now. This is not a secret, so whatever. But they pack these things. I mean, of course they're gonna pack them. They want to get as much as they can. So whatever DOT says a truck should weigh, we don't go through scales with these containers. We don't get weighed out. We don't see if it's evenly distributed and all that kind of stuff. And they don't have legs and wheels in tandem, so they are put on a chassis and put on your truck. So with 80,000 pounds being the max that is supposed to be, just these things can be 90 or better, and it's the same way hauling trash. You be overweight a lot too. Okay, they're trying to crack down on that part, But this here, I mean, you got to include the weight of the trailer itself. It is made of steel. Okay, so it's just eerie to see how there's just smashed like this. It don't even look real. I mean, my stomach is just turning here because this is heavy right here, y'all. This is real heavy. Okay. Wow, they got them pictures though. They did a good job with the pictures. I mean, they did a real good job getting these pictures. Jeez. So yeah, I guess the when the sun came up, the ship, of course, it didn't go anywhere after this. Wow, look at this. This just looked like it's nothing, but this is iron. This is steel. This is a lot of cargo. This looks, I don't know what it looks like to y'all, but to me, I can't even put a price on this ship. One trailer can be anywhere between thousands to millions of dollars in cargo. Okay, just one trailer. Okay. I can't even. Yeah, so they're gonna have to take the remaining cargo off, put it on another ship, assess the damages, what was lost, and all that. Which they got that. That's what insurance is for. But I mean, the remaining cargo can still be delivered. Although they don't have traffic going through now, they're still going to have to get these, on way. So who's ever at work that day, which was yesterday officially now, waiting to pick up, their loads, that they're like, well, what's taking so long? Oh, the ship crashed and all that. So while people are waiting for their loads, and you're probably getting paid by the load and not the hour, that's how they get you. Then there's your delay right there. This type of delay, they're not getting it. They didn't get it on Tuesday, that's for sure. There's no way they unloaded and still delivered all of this freight, because they have to, do their insurance thing. They have to make a claim on what's delivered, what's not delivered, and, all the companies involved. That's a lot. That's a lot. So whomever or however, they got to take this more seriously. This ship losing power, yeah, they're expensive, but you got to keep them up to date, because there's no way that it's okay for something like this to happen. This is major, including the people who are at risk for such, a large bridge to collapse. That's okay. So there's President Biden's tweet and him finding out about it. I don't know why, but I guess we need to see it. Kwesi Mufe has described the collapse as unthinkable and an unthinkable horror, and he says he's praying for the missing people. He represents Maryland's 7th congressional district, which encompasses part of Baltimore City and Baltimore County. The usual prayers and more about President Biden. Okay, enough about President Biden. Okay, now I want to know more about the companies. Okay. DALI is a Singapore registered vessel. Okay, we knew that. The ship management company, Synergy Marine Pte Ltd, reported to MPA that just prior to the incident, the vessel DALI had experienced momentary loss of propulsion The statement from MPA said as a result, it was unable to maintain a desired heading and collided with the bridge. And the vessel is currently holding onto its position at the site of the collision and is in stable condition. No, it's not. The people may be, all 22 crew members are safe and accounted for, but it's not in stable. That, you know, a cart, yeah, it's total. It's total. Okay. So this is the steel frame of the bridge after its collapse. So, wow. I mean, what it would take to just, yeah. Danish shipping giant Maersk said in a statement that it is dropping Baltimore on all its services for the foreseeable future. Oh, shoot. Due to the damage to the bridge and resulting debris, it will not be possible to reach the Helen Delich Bentley port of Baltimore for the time being, the company said in a statement. In line with this, we are omitting Baltimore on all our services for the foreseeable future until it is deemed safe for passage. Well, good for you, because that's kind of standard for everybody. But do I sense an attitude here? Is there? Yeah, I mean, your ship. Okay, I don't know. The container ship that collided with a pillar of the bridge on Tuesday was chartered by Maersk. Okay, now that sounds more familiar. We're going to look them up in a second, y'all. And it was carrying Maersk customers' cargo. And the company said that DALI is owned by Grace Ocean and operated by Synergy Group, which is the parent company of a lot of companies. So Maersk crew and personnel were on board the vessel, the company noted. Ships headed to Baltimore will divert to nearby ports, for which it will be possible for cargo to use other means of transportation too. Ooh, truck drivers about to get paid. I smell money. Yes, sir, I smell it. I smell like truck driver money to me. All right, rail yards to, port them. They're going to have to borrow other people's ports. And I could see them putting some stuff on trains and taking them to rail yards. So either way it go, if you hauling containers, yeah, you got some extra loads there. That's say, hey, y'all better get y'all tweet card. Okay, so to reach their final destinations, cargo set to be released from Baltimore, the company said to expect delays as they look for other port alternatives. Well, you saw all the other ports reach out and say, look, we got your back, blah, 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 because they know they're going to be, they're going to have to, help distribute the cargo. Authorities are continuing to search, blah, blah, blah. The DALI container ship unmoors from the port and begins to move at 12:28. At 1:24, the lights flicker. And 1:26, it changed course. And 1:26 to 1:27, the lights flicker on and off video. 1:27 a.m., it collided with the bridge, quickly causing the collapse. And the Coast Guard immediately deploys personnel to the scene. They have people on standby just in case, because, it's a bridge. It's a big thing. So let's go here. So this port is named after Helen Bentley, who was an American politician, and she was a Republican. Member of the House of U.S. Representatives from Maryland from 85 to 95. Before entering politics, she had been a leading maritime reporter and journalist. Okay. and she was nominated by Richard Nixon. Okay, so that is interesting. Okay. So the Helen D. Lynch Bentley Port of Baltimore is the shipping port along the tidal basins of the three branches of the Patapsco River in Baltimore, Maryland, and the upper northwest shore of Chesapeake Bay. It is the nation's largest port facility for specializing cargo, roll-on, roll-off ships, and passenger facilities. It is operated by the Maryland Port Administration, which is a unit of the Maryland Department of Transportation. And these are the cranes here, the sea cranes, okay, just like at the rail yards. And they are what takes the containers off of the ship and put them on land. Then, you have the guys with the land cranes, if you will, that comes and get them so that they could be dispersed to the trucks. Okay, so that's how that works. All right. It's just some more pictures here, y'all. You can pause or slow down the video, whatever, because everybody might not be interested in all that, All right, so during the 2006 celebration of the port's 300th birthday, the port was renamed in honor of Helen D. Lynch Bentley, 1923 to 2016, a former longtime U.S. representative, congresswoman to the United States Congress, 1985 to 95 from Baltimore. She was also a former Maritime reporter and editor for the Baltimore Sun, a local major daily newspaper. So in case you guys are familiar or not familiar with the Synergy Group, they are mainly in real estate. Okay, they have been a leading force in the greater Boston real estate market for over 35 years. Based in Winchester, Maryland, we are a full-service real estate firm offering personalized real estate guidance and representation. Okay, and they are parent company to a lot. Okay, all right. So yeah, get that out of here. This is the owner of the Synergy Group, Captain Rajesh Uni. Okay, he's the founder and CEO of the Synergy Group, and the Synergy Group is one of the world's leading ship managers. All right. Senior executive ship management positions in Hong Kong and Singapore. He launched his own vessel ownership and management company, now with this diverse fleet totaling of more than 400 vessels, including some of the industry's most sophisticated designs. Synergy is the ship management partner of choice for the world's leading owners. More recently, Synergy established a tanker joint venture with the Danish shipping company. I will not even try. That's a long word. Okay, for the technical management of Norden's entire owned tanker fleet. The JV will take advantage of Synergy's digitalization expertise, which enables the improvement of vessel and fleet efficiency. Your ship kind of lost power and crashed, but driven by a firm conviction that shipping must rapidly evolve from analog to digital. No steering power is included in that. Captain Uni is joint CEO of Alpha Ori Technologies, which he founded in 2017, and he recently established AOT's Center of Innovation in Singapore, which can remotely monitor, diagnose, and control most operational aspects of digital vessels, except for this one, in using AOT's patent software, Smart Ship. Okay, so this has now received Class NK approval, and installation has been completed in more than 100 ships with another 150 vessels in process. So did this vessel have smart ship or not? I don't know. Education is Captain Uni's passion. He is a Class 1 Master Mariner graduate from Mumbai's LBS College of Advanced Maritime Studies and Research, and has completed the Advanced Management program at Harvard Business School. Captain Uni sits on the board of the North P&I Association and the Asia Pacific Advisory Committee for major classification societies, and is governor to the Indian Institute of Management. Well, go ahead and shake a tail feather, okay? I'm not gonna try to say that word there. Okay, yeah, no. He is a strategic thought partner, okay? With prominent change-making network, Ashoka. And he was recently nominated to the board of the Gangram Royal Institute and University of Tamil Nadu, which forms of part of Mahatma Gandhi's progressive vision for preventional children's education. Captain Uni is also a committed philanthropist, as well as being a trustee of the Koken Cancer Society, and he spearheads the Synergy Educational and Charitable Trust, which focuses on alleviating poverty, eradicating hunger, and empowering women and local communities in their efforts to build a better future. Okay? All right. Well. Hey. All right now. So Synergy itself is a South American conglomerate created and owned by German Effermich. Are we talking about two different companies now? The group is headquartered in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and it operates several airlines in South America. Yeah. So there's more. Okay, so this is a different company. I think we had it right with the first one. Let's see. It operates several airlines in South America. Avanica Group, oil, natural gas, hydroelectric, telecommunications infrastructure, shipbuilding and technical inspections, radiochemistry, radiopharmaceuticals, agriculture, and hospitality. It's a conglomerate, of course. Headquarters is in Brazil. Jose Effermich. Okay, so this is German. Let's see. Major shareholder of Vanica Holdings. The company controls 8 airlines. No, I don't think this is our guys. Yeah, its subsidiaries are Aerospatial, Digital Aircraft Maintenance, Aerospace Shipping Agency, Senior Tax Aerial, Aerospace, Synergy Group in Europe and Brazil. No, that's not that. Okay, so Synergy Marine Group is what we're looking for. I do not like it when information is bunched up like this, so I'm not even gonna. It just immediately, I'm just like, no. I need some paragraphs and some spacings. Like, this is not one strong paragraph. No, not at all. That's ridiculous. It's really a pet peeve of mine. So, yeah, Synergy Marine Group. All right. 24,000 seafarers worldwide, 668 vessels under management, and 28 offices. And yes, they're based out of Singapore. Okay. Oh. They have 290 tankers under management, 301 bulk carriers under management, 43 container ships under management. That's 43 of these guys. 50 LNG carriers under management. Wow. Okay. Wow. So they have an average vessel risk rating of 36%. And as you can see, that's in the yellow. And it means immediate action, risk control plan required to mitigate potential risks. So the DALI has a 36% operator risk rating. That's not good. Okay. So this is just general information. And they have a physical vessel inspection. You can find out more about it. But this one got a 36%. They're in the yellow. Find out how a vessel becomes a red risk rated. And you can download, a report. You can subscribe to their newsletter, all of that. And this is marinerating.com. So, they do the official inspections and everything. Wow, 36%. All right, now. Wow. Okay. Let's see. So the DALI is a oil tanker. Was flagged in the Cayman Islands. I don't know if this. Wait, hold on. Okay, so I had the wrong ship. I had an oil ship. So yeah, they have a risk rating of 55%, and that is red. Fleet type average 39%. Average operator risk rating 36%. So I don't know. It looks like this was rated after this crash, so because it says March the 26th. I'm not sure of how. I'm assuming that's the year, but I can't really tell. So there's their dynamic risk score, 67%, and the static risk is 40%. You can't get, deeper information without paying for it. So there's that. And I signed up for a trial offer to get that. And this is what, companies doing business with them would get in order to, assess whether or not it's risky or not to, do business with a company and have their cargo shipped with their vessel. So this is Maersk. It says today the foundation and the Muller family remain the majority owners of A.P. Muller Maersk. Okay. The founding family is the Muller family. All right, this picture is from the 1890s, and this is, they call this the drawing room. Okay, I see some crocheting going on. All right. Let's see. They were first laid in the late 1800s in Villa Anna, the family home of the little Danish town of Svendborg. It was here that Anna and Pete Maersk Muller raised their 10 children, one of whom, A.P. Muller, would go on to found Maersk. And the values they instilled in their children were handed down through the generations. And before stepping down from the chairmanship in 2003, Maersk McKinley Muller introduced the 5 core values to ensure that they will remain constant in the company for generations to come. Okay, values. Okay, is this a business page? Okay, I don't know. Peter Maersk Muller came from a long line of sailors and first went to sea as a captain boy in 1850 after passing the examination allowing him to be a ship's mate in 1855 and gaining experience both at sea and on land. Sailing became Peter Maersk Muller's career. In 1862, he took up a position with the shipowner Jeppesen in Dragør, south of Copenhagen. In 1864, Peter Maersk Muller married Jeppesen's daughter, Anna. All right, I see what you did there. And the couple had 10 children. When his ship, Valkyrie, was wrecked off of the coast of Scotland in 1883, Peter Maersk Muller was left with no source of income. It was both the necessity to provide for his family and a conviction that steamships would be the future that led Peter Maersk Muller to acquire a small steamship and establish the steamship company Laura in 1886. Now, the steamship company Laura remained a typical one-ship family business, and A.P. Muller and his brothers often joined with their fathers on board. In this way, the foundations were laid for the creation of the company that would ultimately become today's A.P. Muller Maersk. All right. In 1904, A.P. Muller, supported by his father, founded the company that would eventually become today's A.P. Muller Maersk. Throughout his lifetime, A.P. Muller was consistent in his approach to matters both large and small, believing that every aspect of the company should be watched over with care, constant care. With A.P. Muller at the helm, the single steamship starter expanded its fleet with tanker and liner vessels, established a shipyard, and invested in various manufacturing activities, exemplifying his entrepreneurial spirit and talent for adapting to new and different marketing situations. To ensure a stable long-term ownership structure, he established the A.P. Muller Foundation in 1953. The deed of the foundation lays out his ambition for the company to continue to have a positive impact on society. When Maersk McKinley Muller first joined the company in 1938, his father A.P. Muller had been leading it for 34 years. When A.P. Muller passed away in 1965, Maersk McKinley Muller set out about ensuring that the values instilled in the company, the values and this and that, family this, okay, yes, it's a family business. I don't know nothing about what y'all hauling, what you're shipping, what you're doing, nothing. It's just a family story so far. Come on. During his tenure, Maersk McKinley Muller guided the company through the establishment of new business units, the expansion of the exploration and production of oil and gas, and the transformation into container transport. Recognizing that the values were central to the success of the company, Maersk McKinley Muller set out to formalize them for future generations of Maersk employees and leaders. Okay, cool story, bro. All right, Anne Maersk McKinley Ugla was born in 1948, the youngest daughter of Maersk McKinley Muller and his wife Emma. When her father passed away in 2012, Anne Maersk McKinley Ugla took over as chair of the family foundations, and just like her predecessors, she took on the responsibility of making the company a fit for the future, building on generations of trust in the family name that helped to establish Maersk as a household name in shipping and logistics. All right, now, cool dress. I like that gray. I like that. That's nice. That's nice. All right, today AP Moller Maersk operates in 130 countries and employs more than 100,000 people globally. With the chairmanship of the board of directors currently held by Robert Maersk Uggla, the youngest son of Anne Maersk McKinley Uggla, the company continues to strive to have a positive impact on communities in which it operates. The values instilled, values. Okay, cool story, bro. All right, the 5 Maersk values, again, form the basics for Maersk's guiding principle. The Danish phrase, I can't say that, is difficult to accurately translate, but it centers around ensuring that the company serves a purpose for society and stakeholders beyond purely commercial aims. From his earliest years, AP Moller was clear and consistent about his motivations and business ambitions. The actions you take should have a clear benefit, whether that's to the company or to the society it operates in. AP Moller believed that money should be used for further investments and improvements rather than to line shareholders' pockets. Throughout the company's history, the founding family generations have worked to ensure that Maersk continues to serve a useful purpose. Alright, the iconic white 7-pointed star of the Maersk logo dates back to 1886 when Peter Maersk Moller chose it as an emblem for the funnel of his very first steamship, the steamship Lara. Okay, alright, yeah, alright, okay, that's cool story, bro, yep, cool story. So, regardless of your industries, your commodity, or your key markets, Maersk has solutions that offers both small and large businesses the opportunity to grow. We serve our customers with frequent departures on all major trade lanes and inland services for true end-to-end experience. Ocean transport. As one of the world's largest shipping container companies, we move 12 million containers every year and deliver to every corner of the globe. Get out of town. So, they truck, rail, barge, air, less than container load. LCL. Full truckload. Okay, that's one stop. LCL is several stops. All right, ready, set, ship with Maersk Go. That is for small and medium businesses looking for simple and reliable global transportation solutions. You do not need to be a shipping expert to get started with Maersk. Look at them. They got the cross-border rail transportation. All right, they got a container project. All right, these people are big business. Okay, big business. Yes. So, of course, a company of this size covers pretty much every industry. Okay. Fashion, retail, chemicals, automotive, technology, pharma, healthcare, food, anything, dry cargo, special cargo, dangerous cargo, all of that. So, as far as the cargo, it said it's owned by the Singapore-based Grace Ocean Pre Ltd, but managed by Synergy Marine Group, based in Singapore. And I am looking for the cargo. Okay, it doesn't say here. It says customers cargo. That's what I got out of it, but we might not get any specifics. So it says the pilot was directing navigation of the ship as it happened. He asked the captain to get the engines back online. They weren't able to do that, so the pilot took all the action he could. He tried to steer. He kept the ship in the channel. He also dropped the ship's anchor to slow slow the ship and guide the direction. Now, I figured that it was even going slower, which is another concern as to, why it was enough to break the bridge pillar. Neither one was enough. The ship never did regain its engine power. So the DALI is a 984-foot container vessel bought in 2015 by Hyundai Heavy Industries in South Korea with a cruising speed of about 22 knots, roughly 25 mph. And it has traveled the world carrying goods from port to port. The ship, constructed of high-strength steel, has one engine and one propeller, according to marinetraffic.com. It arrived in Baltimore Sunday from the port of Norfolk in Virginia. Before that, it had been in New York and came through the Panama Canal. It remains at the scene as the authorities investigate. Now, it says it was carrying Maersk customers' cargo, according to a statement from the shipping company. So, according to what we've seen from Maersk, it could have been anything. What we do know is that it was dry cargo. Okay. So, as we saw in the report that I looked up, it was detained in Belgium after scraping the side of a quay and significantly damaging part of a hull in good weather. The same vessel that hit the Baltimore Bridge on Tuesday, destroying it and sending people and vehicles tumbling into the water, was also involved in a collision while leaving the port of Antwerp, Belgium in 2016, according to Vessel Finder and the Maritime Incident Archive shipwreck log. The DALI, it has a capacity of 10,000 containers. Wow, money. Was leaving the container terminal of Antwerp heading to Bremerhaven. As it did so, its bow reportedly swung across, causing the stern to scrape the side of the quay, significantly damaging several meters of the hull, and the ship was reportedly detained by authorities afterward and docked in Belgium. There were reportedly no injuries or adverse pollution. That is good. The weather was fine at the time. The incident was reportedly blamed on the shipmaster and pilot on board. Maybe that explains the rating there. It is unclear what crew were aboard the ship. Vessel Finder at the time that the ship, which was built in South Korea in 2015 by Hyundai Heavy Industries, was owned by the Greek company Ocean Bulk Maritime, but it was chartered by Maersk. Adding a statement that the crew were all Indian, but none of them were Maersk crew or personnel. Said the ship was operated by the charter vessel company Synergy Group. Maersk has been approached for comment. 7 people. Okay, blah, blah. So it was said to be traveling at the time at about 8 knots, which is roughly 9 miles per hour, and carrying more than 4,600 cargo containers stacked up, 9 containers high, and the ship drifted directly onto one of the piers supporting the Francis Scott Key Bridge, a huge chunk of which immediately crashed into the water, and it had a total weight of 116,000 tons. So I'm really not getting any information as far as what was on it, what was in the cargo. I just want to know, so I don't know. Maybe we will know, maybe not. But probably have to be, someone waiting on that cargo to kind of know. And I'm not scheduled to pick up any containers anytime soon, so I don't know. I might find out through someone, but it's not a big deal. It's just me that wants to know. Just me. Wow, so roughly between 2,000 is estimated, between 2,000 and 10,000 containers are lost at sea, of course, costing over like $370 million. And an environmental hazard, of course, they stack them up, and the higher you stack them, a storm can come, and knock it over. But cargo containers, they're called container ships, right? So they carry the loads in the truck size intermodal containers, the steel containers I was telling you guys about. And that is a technique called containerization, and they're a common means of commercial intermodal freight transport, right? And they now carry most seagoing non-bulk cargo. Now, they did say that this was a roll-on, roll-off load, right? So, these ships are designed to carry wheeled cargo such as cars, trucks, semi-trailer trucks, trailers, and railroad cars that are driven on and off the ship on their own wheels. I don't think that was a roll-on, roll-off ship. It did not appear to be, because we would have seen some of these vehicles like out in the open for them to be. Now, some of them could be inside of the trailer depending on how small it is, but you're not going to see a semi-trailer inside of another trailer, right? So I don't think that was a roll-on, roll-off container. I don't know if it was a typo or I'm remembering it wrong. If they said that, that they also rent from them or whatever. Specialized types of cargo vessels include container ships and boat carriers. Let's see. So it could technically be anything in, those particular containers. It's definitely dry cargo. So it could be anything. Look around you. If you see it, it could have been on there. It could have been on there. If it's something like food, it'd be in a reefer ship. Then you have multi-purpose vessels that carry different classes of cargo, liquid and general cargo at the same time. Dry bulk carriers carry coal, grain, ore, and other similar products in loose form. If it was a tanker, it would have, oil, petroleum, some type of liquid product. All right, so general cargo is likely what this was. So it could be anything from chemicals to foods, well, not foods, but yeah, maybe dry foods, furniture, machinery, all kind of stuff. All right, so there it is, guys. That is your news and information on this ship. So this article caught my attention, although it is not the exact ship, but it is vessels belonging to the owner of the same ship, according to the New York Times. Okay, it's three people. Three people said it. Well, they said that the ships belonging to the same company whose container vessel crashed in the Francis Scott Key Bridge on Tuesday have been cited in recent years for labor violations, which includes underpaying ship crews and holding crew members on board for months past their contracts. According to the Australian Maritime Safety Authority. Isn't that a shame? It seems like it don't matter what department you work in, there's always somebody willing, just raiding and just plotting. So this was in 2021. The authority detained the Western Callow, another ship formerly owned by the company, the Singapore-based Grace Ocean Private Ltd. after it found the management was in arrears, paying 13 crew members and had kept them on board for... Can you imagine? I don't know why companies do this. It's sad. They kept them on board for more than 12 months, well beyond their 9-month contract. So that's 3 additional months. So a whole year. Okay, 9 months, babe. You about to have that baby? I'll be back. As soon as you go in the labor room, I should be pulling up, right? And you don't show. Well beyond their 9-month contracts, in 2020, an inspection of the same ship in Australia found that 8 sailors had been on board for more than 11 months. I guess there's some standard as to how long they can be out there, which makes sense because I think physically and mentally, there's risks if you're out there too long. I don't know. But another ship owned by Grace Ocean, the Furnace Southern Cross, had 10 seafarers on board for more than 14 months, and the infractions were serious and shameful violations of the International Convention on Maritime Labor. Michael Drake, the executive director in operations for the authority, said at the time in October 2021. New York Times done went and dug up some dirt. This type of behavior is unethical and in complete contravention to Maritime Labor Convention. Mr. Drake said the international conventions that protect seafarers' rights are very clear. Any factors about the crew of the DALI, the Grace-owned container ship that crashed into the Key Bridge, including fatigue, will likely be among the many items the National Transportation Safety Board examines as it looks for the causes of the crash. Well, hopefully they learned when they got the ticket, although that was they said those were not employees of, okay, so then that means that they probably were these guys, Grace Ocean Private Ltd, Synergy. They were probably their employees, so but I mean they lost power, so I don't know how, but either way, a violation is a violation. So the international conventions that protect seafarers' rights are very clear. Fatigue will likely be among many items the National Transportation Safety Board examines as it looks for the causes of the crash. Grace Ocean owns 55 ships, according to Equisys, which is a public database of ship information, while global companies such as Maersk charter the vessels. Okay, it's kind of like renting. The owners and the ship managers are generally responsible for managing the crew and maintaining the ship. So, here we go. All right, this is all on Synergy, y'all. Looks like. So, the management company for the DALI Synergy Marine was not the company managing the 2 vessels cited by Australia. Okay, but they are the companies managed by this incident. So they went and dug this up really for nothing at the end of the day. Because the owner, yes, got cited, but the sub company was not even involved in that, and the sub company is what actually allowed Maersk to charter. So Synergy would be the ones, which at the end of the day is still a sub company, but you get what I'm saying. So the extremely opaque nature of global shipping owning makes finding the ultimate owners and holding them accountable for any that's a big listen, that bridge crash is that was a big thing, and especially when people are lost at sea. According to somebody's gonna have to pay the family. I mean, it doesn't bring anybody back, but yeah, somebody got to answer for this. This is a big deal. According to Singapore company records, Grace Ocean is owned by the British Virgin Islands-based Grace Ocean Investment Limited. Lloyd's List, which first reported Grace Ocean's infractions in 2021, reported that Grace Ocean Investment is based in Hong Kong, but the company matching the name and address in Lloyd's database dissolved in 2015, according to Hong Kong company records. Now, what is a reason for a major company to dissolve? You guessed it. The Singapore company has 4 directors, 2 Filipino citizens, a Singaporean, and a Japanese person, with all listing addresses to Singapore. Records show. New York Times, you are so dirty. Alexandria Rage, the president and founder of Trace, a group focused on anti-bribery, compliance, and good governance, said that the ship ownership structures are designed to maximize opacity and minimize accountability. There are some good actors in this space, but shipping is the Wild West from a compliance and accountability perspective, Ms. Rage said. And when compliance and accountability aren't priorities, issues like environmental standards, labor practices, and health and safety often aren't either. Now, the DALI had 22 crew members from India on board, according to a statement from Grace Ocean and Synergy Marine. None were injured. As an inspection of the DALI last year at a port in Chile found that the vessel had a deficiency related to propulsion and auxiliary machinery. Now, the inspection concluded on June 27th at the port of San Antonio, specified that the problem concerned gauges and thermometers. And the DALI has had 27 inspections since 2015, according to Equasis. The only other deficiency, a damaged hull impairing seaworthiness, was found in 2016 at the port of Antwerp in Belgium, and the vessel hit a berth at that port last year. So I'm pretty sure they got that fixed. You can't just be carrying around 10,000 containers weighing over 100 and with impaired seaworthiness. That's not happening. I mean, and not only the risk of the people on board's lives, but you also risk losing cargo, and they not trying to drop money in the ocean like that. I guarantee it. Of course, Grace Ocean and Synergy did not immediately have a comment on the labor violations or the deficiency reported last year. So, okay, I am officially done now. I have fed all of my curiosities so far on this situation, and we will see what the reports conclude. The bridge, how long it's gonna take and everything, but a lot of cargo was not damaged. They really came out good on this. I mean, the ship itself, I don't know if that's salvageable. I should have left it. I had it the first time, right? But yeah, I don't know. I'm not an expert on that, but that's gonna take a lot of money. But hey, not a lot of cargo was lost, y'all. So that's really good, but there's still a lot of money lost already from the ship being damaged. Whatever monies they gotta pay to, take the time to, regroup, count, see what's accounted for, get that delivered. monies they gotta pay to other people, like other ports and transportations, to do all this stuff. I mean, a lot of the money is gonna be shelled out by them off top. Then they gotta get down to figure. I don't know who does the investigations on this, because they can't investigate themselves. I mean, they can and should and probably will for their own, purposes, but the outside investigations are going to have to conclude what may have taken place. But outside of the standard monies they're going to have to pay to, for the immediate, and then each cargo, they got to eat that, each container. And I don't even have a rough estimate of what the price could be per container, because we don't know what's in it. I wanted to know what was in it but it makes sense that they don't tell us what's in it, because that could be a security risk. It's a ship sitting out there, and that may not sound, who's gonna let them get to the... Nah, that's one thing you don't do, is let the public know what's in the containers. Okay, when I was doing rails, and which is intermodal, and this was early on when I first started. There is one of the rail yards here in Atlanta that is near a prison. I'm just pointing that out because it's near a prison, and they did have a lot of people who were ex-convicts who worked on the yard. I'm pointing that out because we didn't even know what was in the cargo, and I'm picking it up because most of the time I'm taking it to another rail. It's not important for me to know because I'm not taking it to a shipper. I'm just taking it to another rail. Now, on the paperwork, I can see sometimes value, but not what's in it. Now, the guys who work at the rail, most of them had access to what was in it because they have to scan this and that and the third, right? I'm just saying, one of my coworkers actually got robbed. I don't know if the people who robbed him knew what was in it. Probably not, though, because it was furniture. So when you come out the rail and come up the hill to the top of the street that intersects to the same street where the prison is, it's kind of like up on a hill, and he got cut, ambushed right there, and they shot at him, grazing his head. So initially we thought he got shot in the head, but it grazed his head. They took the truck and the trailer. Of course, they have trackers on it, and they found it, I think, later on that day at the Boulder Crest of all places, truck stop. And they had, it was halfway full. It had furniture in it. So, it could be anything in the cargoes, and I guess they was hoping it was something of more value, because it had half the furniture still in it. So they really did. Plus, they didn't have a lot of time. They got trackers on the trailers. Not necessarily the trucks, but definitely the trailers. Although I think they did get the truck back also. It was a company truck. So, yeah. Most of the time, they're not gonna let anybody know what's on there except for who has to, because I can do story after story after story of instances where people see these containers and yeah, that's money in there, and they find a way to either jack you for it or get on the yard and bust them open. So, yeah. Alright, y'all. You know what to do.
Greetings, loves. Greetings. I want y'all to go ahead and hit that like button. Make sure you share this video out. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already subscribed, and make sure your notifications are on. I'm trying to tell you.